Yes, folks, so this is Hurane Scott, Public Health Inspector with the Manchester Health Department, and you're in tune to Sherlock Robinson's YouTube channel. Don't forget to like, to share, and to subscribe to his channel because he's doing a really good job spreading positive vibes, giving positive messages to the men out there and to Jamaica in general. So big up Mr. Robinson. Member people, stay tuned.
Yes, sir, Scott.
Yeah, man.
Good day, sir.
Yeah, man. I'm here,
Of
man.
respect and blessings.
Yes, man. Thanks.
So, we're here to really, what we're trying to do on this channel is to motivate, inspire, educate, inform. I inform the word.
That's a part of it too.
Yeah, man. So, we just want to help, try to rescue some of our men, you know. Because we're not really sure how many of them will watch this channel, but we hope that by sharing over a period of time, because we have seen where attempts have been made to save our ladies and our young ladies and our children, but hardly anything, you know, to try to help the men them. Because we think if we try to do our little part, then it can go a far way. And if we save one man, that can make a whole lot of difference. So this is what this channel is all about. The other things are listed, but we must focus on the interview. So, as I said, nice to have this opportunity. It's really a joy for me to really have this opportunity to really do an interview with them. You know,
No problem,
business
man.
man.
No problem.
But just for the viewers, sir, what's your name and where you're from? You know.
Alright, so my name is Hurane Scott. I'm originally from Maypen,
Okay.
place called Cotispen in Maypen, Carignan. That is next door to the big bad Canaanites
Oh.
in Maypen. So I live in a neighboring community beside Canaanites.
Yeah.
So that is Cotispen. I've been living there for essentially 36 years.
So that was you were born and
Born,
raised.
grow, raise, everything.
Okay.
So now that I'm working in Manchester, I sort of shifting from there
Okay.
to Manchester, but the root is still there. Yeah, man. So born and grow, Cotispen, Maypen, Clarendon. You see me?
Okay, so where did you attend school like from the kindergarten level straight up to?
Alright, so schooling, basic school, I went to Faith Basic School. That's a place close to Junior Crescent
Yeah.
in Maypen. From there, I went to Maypen Primary.
Yes.
Yeah, man. So Maypen Primary was primary school. From Maypen Primary, I went to Clarendon College. Yeah, big
Big
up
bad Clarendon
CC,
College. Yes, man.
the cup side, country beating of everybody. Yeah, man. So big up CC. You know, CC would
Alma
have,
mater, yeah.
you know, CC would have produced a lot of great footballers that end up representing Jamaica and all of that. So
Outstanding Jamaicans like yourself, you know.
yeah, man. So
Academic.
yeah. Even though I really don't consider myself to be an academic, but
Okay.
yeah. So from CC now, Clarendon College, I went to Veer Technical because, you know, when I started Clarendon College, I did common entrance when I was 10.
Okay.
So I went to high school young.
Pretty young, yeah?
Yeah, man, I went to high school at 10 years old, and then I graduated from high school at 15, and you know, too young to go college and so forth. So I went to another high school here, Technical, where I was for about 3 years,
Okay.
and then, you know, after that, I went out into the working world, so to speak, for a little bit.
Yeah, but let's backtrack a bit. Any teacher you remember from your basic school, primary school years?
Well, I don't really remember any teachers from basic school. I do remember some teachers from primary school. I remember the principal of Maypen Primary at the time, Miss Mika.
Yeah,
Very
Miss
serious lady.
That's a firm or flexible.
Yes, man, with the belt, man, the leather belt, man. Yeah, man, I remember Miss Mika. Miss Peter was there. Miss Bennett, Miss Brown, Miss Allen. I think she was my grade 2 teacher.
Yeah.
You know, I remember a few teachers from there, but you know, I don't remember a lot.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
man.
so while going to primary school, would you consider yourself to be a teacher aspect then, or you would consider yourself to be one of those you have to really work hard to? Because you say you're past coming to that age 10, so that is suggesting to me that you are a brilliant student, but were you a teacher aspect? So to
no,
speak?
sir, I wouldn't say that I was a teacher aspect. I did my work and I was able to do it. My mom would say that I was reading well from a young age. So reading wasn't a big problem for me.
Okay.
Spelling and those type of things. I don't think I had a strong math background, but regardless of that, you know, I was doing well enough to go through primary school and without any problems. So I didn't have to repeat or do anything like that. But I wouldn't really consider myself to be like a teacher's pet or anything like that.
Okay, that's youngster.
Yeah, man.
Like that's a youngster who really work
Yeah,
hard.
yeah, work hard, you know.
So
Mhm.
in your community, while growing up, were you one of those child or youngsters who used to like play marbles and
Yeah, man.
go look for goat and
Yeah, man.
wood and all of that?
Yeah, man, all of those things, man, because where I was, yeah, man, because, excuse me, because where I was, it wasn't as developed as it was, or as it is now.
Yeah.
So, Walipa Bush, you,
Bird, make catapult and them things.
yeah, man, you used to have to tie out
Country style.
goats and cow, and Walipa time cow make me have to run.
Yeah?
Yes, man, because you know when you hear it behind you, you know,
Yeah.
you have to look because they could be running at you.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so you have to know what is happening, man. Now, only for time, man. Cow make me have to run, man. Run. Because if you stand up, you get bucked down.
Alright, so you were more like in a farming area. In a farming area.
Yeah, man, and parents used to, well, they still do, plant and raise animals. So involved in a chicken production, used to have goat, used to have rabbit. I still have rabbits now.
Yeah.
Used to raise fish, and you know they plant gungo, corn, ackee, all type of stuff.
One for livestock
Yeah, man.
farming.
Used to have to go a country, go carry banana, carry water, all of that good stuff. So yeah, I think I'm fairly exposed to the country life, but it's just that I never really have to draw machete or anything like that.
Okay, so
Much.
you're more like in a more quiet community.
But we
Kind of
still
setting.
play marble, we still play gig.
You still play marble?
Well, we used to play marble at that time.
Okay.
At that time, and
I was challenging a marble game that brings that.
I don't think I'm that good anymore because a long time I don't play marble. But funny story, my mother taught me how to make gig
Yeah?
and how to play a gig. Yeah, man,
Okay.
and we are do the stunting with the gig, man. Scan the earth and all of these things, catch it in your hand and all of that, you know. So yeah, man, a fairly good country life.
So
as I would say.
moving forward, while going to school, what did you want to become then at the time?
Why, I guess I would have started off like the typical Jamaican young man.
Yeah.
Oh, you know, I want to be a pilot or police or a soldier, and you know, those things would have been in my way up, you know. Yeah, man. I really wanted to be a soldier, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah, man, I wanted to be a soldier because I like the whole idea of the ruggedness and the discipline and support associated with the military.
Okay.
You know, but I guess it wasn't meant to be, you know, you choose a different career path, and I am where I am now.
So you transitioned from Hurane College to very technical and to UE. Is it UE?
No, actually no, because I left Veritech in, when was it, 2005, and I didn't start going to school until 2009.
Okay.
So there was a gap there between high school and UTech.
Okay.
Right, so to fill in that gap now, I started working at a shoe store. So that was the very first place I started working. So I started working at this shoe store called New Success Shoes and Handbag Boutique.
Okay.
It was located in Shopping Mall and Trading Towers, Windsor Avenue, Mayfen.
Okay.
So that was my first job. So a lady named Mrs. Seymour, she essentially gave me my first job.
Okay.
And I don't think that store is operating anymore, but you know, that's where I started working.
So you leave from that store and transition into UTech?
No, I know. I actually left from that store. When did I start working there again? I think I started working there, I think I worked there about 3 months actually.
Okay.
So I started working there, I think it was like December 2005, and then I left there in about February or so 2006.
Yeah.
And then now I started working at Hurane Health Department in about August or so of 2006.
Okay.
And then I worked at the health department in Hurane from 2006 to about August 2009. And then I went.
When you moved to UTech.
Yeah, man.
So when you got to UTech, were you so when you got to UTech, were you planning on becoming an inspector? Public health inspector, that is.
Well, I'll tell you a funny story about that. So working at the health department, you know, I had a very interesting job.
Yes.
Right? I was a part of the BCC team, Behavior Change Communication, and that was a part of the HIV STI control program.
Okay.
So during those days, you know, we would have got to some very interesting places like the exotic clubs and walk on the street with the dildos and stuff. We talk about safe sex and we do condom demonstrations and all of those things.
Okay.
And it was sort of, I wouldn't say uncomfortable, but a very interesting job, especially for a young man, because you don't really see young men doing those type of things, and it would be uncomfortable for a young man to be walking around with that type of instrument, and people see you and, yo my youth, what that you walk with, and you know. Yeah, but that was a part of the job, you know. And being in the health department, you know, you would have had persons around you encourage you, say, look here man, go do public health man, because you know when you come out, you know, they need inspectors, and you know, it's a nice job and that sort of thing. And then working in BCC, it sort of gave me a feel for the street, so to speak.
Okay.
Where it's not an office job, you don't sit in the office 9 to 5 every day. It's primarily on the road.
Okay.
Right, so because of that now, I developed a liking to that type of job, and I was interested in computer,
Yeah.
IT, programming, information technology, that sort of thing, because I love computers, I love going on the internet, I love doing research, I love watching videos, but having that job, it made me realize that I really don't want to be in an office job. Okay, so coming from BCC now, it sort of gave me a feel for the road, and it kind of made me realize the joy of having a job that is not an office job, really. So yes, I had applied to UTech 3 times actually. Yeah man, 3 times I applied to UTech. I applied the first 2 times for IT, right? A IT related course, and I don't know, maybe it was because of my math background, because you have to do an entrance exam for each. Well, yeah, you have to do an entrance exam for the IT course, and I wasn't successful the first 2 times. And then I said, you know what, let me try public health. So I made my application for public health school, and I was successful the first time I applied for that course.
So in making that decision to become a public health inspector, were there persons in the health sector then, or at the workplace where you used to work, right? At the Maypen
Yeah, man.
Maypen Health Center, encourage or influence you to become a public health inspector?
Yeah man, I didn't really have any relationship with the public health inspectors there, like a friendship or anything like that, but since I was working there for 3 years, I would have known persons, but it wasn't like any of them came to me and say, oh, the public health. But I would have, spoken to them, asked them about it, and of course, other staff members who would have been there for longer than me. I remember one person in particular, Mrs. Killenbeck.
Yes.
She would have been one of the persons who kind of pushed me to go and do public health, And funny enough, some of the persons that I was working with then, who were public health inspectors, when I was at Crime and Health Department, I'm actually working with them now as public health inspectors. So they were before me in it.
Yes.
And coming to Manchester, I'm working with a few of them who I used to work with back in
Very interesting story, because why I say it's interesting, because a lot of persons, think that, and I use an analogy here to bring across the point. Going to Mandeville uptown, I don't say Captain's Bay uptown.
Yeah.
Some persons would have given up their dream because they may be thinking that because they might have to walk, then they might take long for reach, they don't worry. And that is a problem with a lot of the men. They don't try to stick to the task like pursuing an educational course. They think it too long. And then what we do, and in contrast to that, the ladies don't stick to it and reach the point and qualify themselves. And if you should look back and see how many time or how many years has elapsed, when if you stick to that thing that you're doing, you would have reached and qualify yourself. So I'm saying to the men in this medium, utilize the opportunity, don't give up on your dream, because this is what this channel is all about. The Sherlock Holmes YouTube channel. We're trying to motivate and try to save our men. And the question I would ask you now, Sir Scott, what were some of your challenges growing up right up till the university level?
The university level was a challenge in itself. Anyway, I wouldn't say that my family was rich or is rich. I wouldn't say we were well off, but we weren't as bad either. So
could find food for the day.
yeah, man. I can recall being hungry to some degree. So I wouldn't say that we were rich, but you know, we never that bad. So we were well taken care of. I don't think we were short of a lot, but of course, you know, as they would say, you have to satisfy with what you have.
Yeah.
And my mother used to always say, you know, whatever state I am, you know, I learned to be content. So even though we were lacking in some things, we weren't lacking in what was important.
Necessary things.
Yeah, man. So of course, when you're not rich, you know, finances would have been a challenge. So a lot of times you would have to, for example, walk instead of taking taxi.
Yeah.
Well, if I walking,
Back and forth.
yeah, man, back and forth, you know, doing things like carrying lunch to work and those type of things, you know, walking in the rain, you know, little things like that as children, you know, take off your shoes and walk in a water.
To be honest, I think the walking was good enough. Were good for us now because we would burn a lot of calories, you know.
Yeah, man, definitely.
Since the inception of motor vehicle, nobody want to walk.
Lazy people get lazy.
You know, so and they cause a lot of health concern. No.
You know, one of the things I used to do, you know, especially like when I started working, I used to save my cups. So for example, I would go to like a Juicy or a KFC.
Yeah.
And you know, back in those days, they used to have the drinks machine out.
Yeah, man.
That you could get your refills. So what I used to do is that I used to buy a cup, drink today, save my cup.
Tomorrow I drink again.
Tomorrow I drink again. I go and I carry my lunch.
Yeah.
And I go to KFC or Juicy and I drink again.
Interesting.
And I save my cup. So one cup will last me like a week, 2 weeks.
Okay.
And when that cup was destroyed or damaged, I buy a next cup and keep it. So those were little things that I used to do to kind of save money.
Yes.
And so forth. So
creative thinking.
yeah, man, definitely. So you know, it's not to say that everything was good and well. Only if I work mixed into that, cause whatever my parents were doing, you know, I would have to help being a male. Because the family, in terms of siblings,
Yeah.
I have 3 sisters.
Okay.
So I am the only male child for my parents.
Okay.
So a lot of the hard labor.
You have to deal with it.
I have to deal with it.
No, yeah, so yeah, talk about some
Carry
experience.
the heavy sand and the dirt and the banana and the load and all of those
Heavy
things.
lifting.
Yeah, man, that was me.
So while at university, how was it for you?
Why? Hard. When you go to university, you know, especially when you're not rich,
Yeah.
it's a lot of challenges. So how I even went to university in the first place was not necessarily because of my parents doing it. It was because of my determination then.
Okay.
Because technically speaking, I paid my first semester tuition. And how I did that, you know, I had a little side hustle, little juggling. So while I was at Clarendon and Health Department, I was doing my little side hustle as well.
Okay.
And I saved up my first semester tuition. And you know, while at Health Department, you know, being a government worker, you would have been eligible for study leave and so forth. And I had initially started working there, saying to myself, you know what, I'm not going to spend more than a year in this job.
Yeah.
But 1 year multiplied into 3. And I said to myself, you know what, not going to stay here any longer. So during like my second to third year at work,
Yeah.
saved up my money for my first semester tuition, and at the end of the third year I resigned because study leave wasn't coming through for me,
Okay.
and I didn't want to wait any longer, so I saved my money and I wrote my resignation letter. I'm going to school this year, saved my tuition, resigned, and went to school. Alright? So when I went to school now,
And that is thing about UTech.
yeah man, so UTech is the only school in the Caribbean that does the public health course, if I'm not mistaken. So if you want to be a public health inspector in Jamaica,
Yeah.
that's where you have to go.
Okay.
Other institutions have like environmental studies and so forth, but even though the courses may be similar in some respect, there are still some components necessary to be a public health inspector that are not offered by the other institutions. So if you want to be a public health inspector, have to go to UTech, right? So basically I would have resigned, as I said, went to UTech, and being there was a challenge because you have to support yourself. You're not working. You have parents that are not rich. You have to pay rent. You have to feed yourself.
So during that period, did they get any sponsorship or any help from anybody?
No, I just parents. No extended family or nothing like that. Just my parents and my own.
Okay.
Maybe my sisters would have chipped in here and there, but
It was mostly your
mostly
parents.
myself and my parents, because even though I would have been going to school, I still maintained a little side hustle.
Okay.
Just the same, so that would have helped out.
Interesting. I stuck to the task.
Yeah man,
And
definitely.
today you are a
Public
public health inspector.
Whole heap of hungry days. Are you taking a whole heap of hungry days because going there, mackerel and those things, tin boom, order the day.
National dish.
National dish, man, macaroni and cheese and ramen and those type of things, because you really don't have the money to buy the big lunch and those type of things. So especially like first year, second year, yeah man, really tough. Really
So you keep your eyes on the prize.
Yeah,
So
man.
that is what we are saying to the viewers. Keep your eyes on the prize. And I'm sure, I guarantee, you will reap good success. And here Mr. Scott is saying to us, he's sharing a story, very interesting story. So we are appealing to the viewers. Whatever you're doing, man, just stick to it. Put the good Lord in front. Do your part, and it's a guarantee because it's a testimony showing off. Yes, the right word. Not in a bad way, but letting the person understand that you can do it once you put your head and your mind and your thought and everything to it. Help will come.
Definitely.
So after leaving UTech now, restaurant, where did you start work?
Alright, so UTech would have been a 4-year course.
Yeah.
So I would have gone through first year, second year, all the way up to fourth year. And at the end of the course there is a thing called an internship. So basically,
A rough one.
yeah man, basically you would go out in the field, do some work experience, implement a community project and so forth. So I was sent back to Hurane Health Department, where I started working in the government service. So started as a CPE, resigned, and an internship they sent me back to Hurane Health Department. So going back to health department now, I would have known most of the people who were there at the time. I saw a couple new faces. So you know, it wasn't unfamiliar territory for me. So I just came back and I fit right in. So, you know, I did the internship, challenging as it may have been. I have some stories about that too.
I can share, man, in a nutshell.
Yeah, man. Alright, so basically the objective of the internship would have been to go and work in a community, and you would basically identify an environmental health problem in the community, and you would do some projects to solve that problem or to impact the community positively from an environmental standpoint. So we would have chosen to do a solid waste management project. And I recall, you know, working on the site, so to speak, because we were building a garbage receptacle. And the workmen said they wanted rum. And I was saying to them, look here, man, I don't have the money to buy no rum because, you know, funding for my project wasn't so strong. So the truth is I had to use a little bit of my own money too. The man them say, yo, no rum, no work.
No work.
No rum, no work. So if I find a rum, Papa, I have to find a rum. So, you know, I buy a flask, not even a flask, a quart. Yeah, man, I buy a quart of rum, and that was it for the day. You know, we do the work and everything was good again. So, you know, we do the project, and, you know, I was successful in the internship, and, you know, I got my degree and so forth. But, you know, the transition from being a newly qualified inspector to actually working, it wasn't as nice as I would have wanted it to be, because I graduated in November of 2013. Yeah, 2013. But I would have stopped going to school in about May of 2013. You know, so the course would have actually ended in May, but graduation would have been in November.
Okay.
Right, so technically I stopped going to school in about May, and essentially I was at home from May of 2013 to, I think, almost a year I was at home. Yeah, man.
It was rough.
Yeah, man, I was at home for almost a year, if not a year. And, you know, I got a call from one of my batchmates, who I work with today as well. Her name is Mrs. White. So I got a call from Mrs. White to say, Scott, you know that I hear that they're going to hire somebody in Manchester. They're going to hire more inspectors in Manchester. You applied? I said no. So she gave me the chief's number at the time, who was Mr. George Slowly. So I got in contact with him. I, you know, explained to him that I'm a young person, don't have a job. And
fresh out of college.
Yeah, man. He
University.
gave me his email and stuff. So I just I did up my resume, edited my resume, and I applied for the job. And luckily, you know, I was called for an interview, met up with a couple of my batches also at that interview, and did the interview, and I was successful. And, you know, I've been working here ever since.
Okay, so how long now since you have been a public health inspector?
How long now? I've been working from 2014, so that would have been 9 years.
Okay.
Yeah, man. So May this year would have been a full nine years, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, man.
Well, April this year, 17th April, gonna be 9 years since I'm in Manchester.
Yeah.
So question I was asking, fast forward now. And this is the the thing that I would want you to explain, I think the viewers would have want to hear more about this particular incident as related to the global pandemic, COVID-19.
Yeah.
Because we know that there was a lot of shutdowns and shut-in, but we know that the health inspector were always out in the field despite of everything.
Yeah.
So how did you navigate your way throughout along with other colleagues and try to ensure that you were kept safe from this pandemic?
It's funny that you ask about COVID.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I think it might be a weird way to look at it, but I actually think the pandemic was somewhat interesting because it sort of gave you a different perspective on things, and it gave you an opportunity to practice disease control in a practical sense. Because as a public health inspector, we do a lot of inspections of like food establishments and institutions, schools, that sort of thing, and we do the food handlers training, meat inspection and those type of things, but we don't really do much disease investigation unless we get like notifications about like leptospirosis and acute poisoning and those type of things. And we don't really do a lot of foodborne illness investigations either. Yeah, because that would involve a lot of epidemiology and all of that. So we don't really do much of that. But COVID coming gave us an opportunity to look into disease control and so forth. So I really found it interesting to be able to do that, because we had to do a lot of stuff. We had to do contact tracing, and that's one of the biggest things to stem an outbreak, because if contact tracing is, in a nutshell, is essentially tracking all of the persons who
been contacted,
who would have been exposed to
yeah.
the disease, or the source. Then so you might have one person, he might expose 5 other persons. You would have to find that one person, then find all of the other persons that he would have been in contact with, and basically isolate those persons to prevent the spread.
Yeah.
So having to do that, it was sort of interesting, because we had to be going to some remote places to find people. We had to be mapping the location, the coordinates and all of those things. And funnily enough, you have persons coming from overseas who would have been exposed, and they quarantine them. And they leave the house and gone about them business. So we had to be looking for persons and call police on them and all type of things, because they don't want to stay home. But if they leave, they're exposing other persons to the disease, and because of the exposure now, then you have the spread. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, man. So we had to be doing a lot of that. So while everywhere else shut down, we had to be working.
You're working.
Working.
I do a fair share of work in the COVID, because as regards the data entry, I was one of those persons doing the data entry for I'm not sure if I was the only one, but for Manchester, I was one of those persons doing the data entry. So when there were times like Dr. Williams or Dr. Blair make a report, it was from the data that I entered they were using, so and it is rough, because you have to depend on every single day.
Every day, man.
No,
every day.
People place come like ghost town, brother.
Every day. And then one of the things that was difficult too was actually getting food.
Well, let me tell you.
Because you are working and everybody else, they stay home. So getting food was a challenge too. You understand? So some places, I think they had to cater for us when we were working, and then you have some places that were open that would only sell to health workers. So are essential services then. So when you go there, you would have had to show your ID to get food. So like us and the police and other essential workers, that's how we got food in those settings. And some of the other things that we had to do as well, we had to supervise like decontamination of like the ambulances, the vehicles used to transport the patients, and we had to be dressing up in some spacesuit in a sense, overall with goggles and gloves, and you know when you finish they have to spray you down with cavicide and all type of things. So you know, as I said, while some persons were afraid, it's like I hug it up because I kind of like the difference, the different experience of, you know, doing the disease control part, as opposed to just doing a shop or a restaurant or, you know, a school or doing food administration. So I think it was a good experience, and it was a lesson in public health.
So in other words, you were not afraid.
No,
you were not fearful or timid or scared.
No. Actually ended up getting COVID, but as you probably know, health workers being on the front line, you are most exposed, therefore you are most likely to get it.
I mean, I remember having COVID and if we get it, I don't know.
Yeah, man, I ended up getting
probably,
it, man.
Probably when I think what saved me was that I have been one vehicle, so never really have to have a lot of encounter with a lot of crowds and all of that. So maybe that's one I think was my savior.
Yeah, man. I ended up getting it, man. But for me,
so how was the experience?
For me, it was a blessing in disguise.
Yeah. In
a sense, because funnily enough, I signed up for my vacation leave. I think I got COVID in January, but I signed up for my vacation leave in February. So I would have made plans to take vacation leave from about December of the previous year.
Yeah.
And then I got COVID on the 20th. I think I was tested on the 28th of January. I think it was 2021. I was tested, and the results came back. You know, once they tested, they quarantined you.
Yeah.
So I was quarantined, and the results came back. The Tuesday came back positive. So I was quarantined for like 2 weeks. Couldn't leave my house, stay in the house, and then those 2 weeks coincided with my vacation leave.
So that was that time to stay home.
Right, so I ended up spending like a month home, and having COVID didn't impact my sick leave or my vacation leave or anything like that. I was home for 2 weeks prior to my vacation leave, and I ended up spending like a month at home.
I have applied for my vacation leave, you know, and when I applied for it, it was approved. But then, you know, administration said that I can't leave based on what I was doing. So I cancel, I postponed the leave for that period of time until another further down. So I was always on the job going. But COVID for me was a bittersweet experience. Learn a lot of things, and it teaches me to think creatively and critically, and I think a lot of persons can share the same sentiments that, you know, that also think beyond where we know, about how we used to think, you know. Even as I mentioned about disease control, and the whole is about sanitization, if you wash your hand, and interest the clothes, you have to take them off, and you have to bathe, and you know, a whole lot of things.
And funnily enough, you know, as it relates to COVID, it's like COVID just come and prove some of the things that we would have been preaching from way back.
Yeah.
When, you know, like the hand washing and those type of things. And like we would say to some persons, put a hand washing station there because hand washing is important in disease control and so forth. No, this and that, and we don't have the money and whatever. And when COVID come, they do it.
Right.
So why they never do it before?
I guess because it was not seen as necessary. It was necessary, but not all that necessary. So they didn't want to focus on
COVID made they see that it is necessary. Yeah, man. So
it's a lesson learned by, I guess, the whole entire world.
yeah, man.
Unfortunately, a lot of person has become victim of COVID.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
still, we are still there, so we have to be grateful that we are still here. So we can tell.
As it relates to me and my family, I had the COVID. I was quarantined in Macon, and thank God none of my family members got it.
Okay.
Yeah, man, none of them got it. And my parents, they have comorbidities, as they would say. So if they would have gotten it, it would have been
Double trouble.
yeah. So fortunately, none of them had it. Neither my siblings or anybody that was at the house. So it was just me.
So Scott. So Scott. Moving forward now, what would you suggest, or what advice do you can give to the viewers? As it relates to sticking to your task. What advice would you give them, more so to our men?
Well,
I'll get the cameraman and tell them.
yeah. Well, definitely, they have to have a plan. They have to have a plan. Work out what you want to do and how you're going to achieve it. And of course, once you have your plan in place, then you work towards it. It's also good to read, broaden your knowledge. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You don't have to read necessarily in the traditional sense, like take up a book and read. You have YouTube, you have Google. While you're driving to work or you're doing something, listen to an audio book or something like that. Expand your knowledge, your way of thinking.
Yeah.
And once you have a plan and you stick to your plan, then once you work hard at it and you use your head, you will reap some amount of success. And one of the things I learned too is that you might be in certain situations and you say you can't this or you can't that or you don't have the money. And I say, and I share with other people too, the key to getting what you want is deciding that you want it.
Okay.
That's it. That's all you need to do. You just decide that you want it. And let me give you an example. You walk on the road and you kick your shoes, you kick off your shoes bottom. Right? You might be saying to yourself, boy, I don't have any money. But you need the shoes. Anywhere you need to find the money to buy the shoes, you're going to find it, don't you?
Yes, man.
Yes, so even if you don't have the money, you're going to find it to buy the shoes. So a lot of times you might think about certain things and you say, no, so I'm not do it because I don't have the money. Once you decide that I'm going to do this, you will find a way how to do it. So, young men, you need to have your plan. You need to focus on positive things. Decide to do positive things, and once you decide to do them, you will find a way to achieve them.
And final question, Sir Scott. From a public health inspector point of view, what advice do you have for the public in general?
Well, public health is all about prevention, And all time people used to say prevention better than cure.
Yeah.
So the whole basis of public health is prevention. So we want to ensure that the population is healthy, and a healthy population doesn't necessarily have to go to the doctor or the clinic or the hospital. So as it relates to public health now, eating right is very important.
Yes.
Getting good food is important, food that is not contaminated. Exercise, of course, a healthy lifestyle in general, cut out the drinking and the smoking. Of course, exercise, very important. Hand washing, very important too. As simple as you think it is, hand washing can stop somebody from getting cholera or leptospirosis and so forth, which are like life-threatening diseases. Hand washing can stop you from getting COVID. You understand?
Yeah.
So if you wash your hands, that would have saved you from weeks of agony or quarantine just by going to the pipe and washing your hand with soap. Excuse me. Also, as I said to you, just a healthy lifestyle in general, paying attention to sanitation, access to water, bathroom facilities, those type of things. Having a good environment, because a lot of persons don't really know the link between your environment and your outcome. So if you're in a toxic environment, then you more than likely will become sick.
Yeah, man.
But if you're in a clean environment, then more than likely you will prosper. You understand? So your environment is very important, and it's not just from a public health standpoint, too, from an educational standpoint, and even from a social standpoint as well, because it's not to say that persons from the ghetto, for example, cannot be successful, but there are a lot of influences and distractions in that environment that not everybody will be strong enough to resist
And to navigate through.
and to navigate that. So environment plays a key role, and I even think about it in university as well.
Yes.
Because going to university, what if a party,
Your pressure thing.
what if a parties every week, so if you go there with the intention to party, you're not going to come out with nothing. And we are man, so we are going to see the girls then. Pretty, not so pretty,
All variety.
for every type of girl, right? Like a funny story. There's this place in the school called Sculpture Park. It's like a little green area. They have some artworks and stuff where they have benches and stuff there. But it's like between two main points in the school, so they have like some of the classes and stuff where the buildings that house classes on one side, and then they have like the book shop, the canteen and so forth on the other side. They have a lot of people going across the sides. You go to get lunch over there, then you come back. And then the dorms were over there as well, over on one side. So people going home after class, going to the room after class and so forth. So I had a lot of movement.
Yeah.
And trust me, like sitting in the sculpture park and just looking at the people, it's like a safari. You see the girls them, brother, and they're just going across. And it's like, it's kind of funny still, but it's like watching a movie in a sense. You
Yeah.
go to the safari and you see them watching the lion in the vehicle and the zebra and the giraffe and the elephant out there walking in the bush. It's a comparable thing. You know, you see the people walking and it's just a good sight, especially the girls. Especially the girls them. But you know, as I said, there's a lot of distraction there, and if you don't have your head on your body, you will lose out. You know, you succumb to the distraction, and yeah, you can indulge in it a little bit, but that's not the point. Still, you know, you have
I get
to
what you're here
balance.
for, yeah, man.
You have to balance.
So viewers, there you have it. Mr. Scott has shared his story, and I hope this will inspire you to do well. You know, stick to the task, and as I mentioned earlier, you will reap good success. So this is the Sherlock Robinson YouTube channel. Stay tuned. Please remember to share, subscribe, watch the videos, leave a comment, and give the support, because we think we're doing a big thing, you know, and we need the support to grow the channel and to help persons. It's a mutual benefit, yeah, to help myself and help others. So keep well until then. Sir Scott, of blessing and respect, man, and thanks for the opportunity.
Respect,
I
man.
wish you all the best as we move forward.
Respect, man. Respect,
And thanks
man.
again.
Yeah, man.
Yes, Sir
Alright.
Scott. Yeah, man.